Math, 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 math. Welcome back. It's math time. Here we go. We're on this roll again. We are continuing talking about the units of measurement. We have spent 2 or 3 days on this already. We've been doing this whole concept about that keyword of convert, right? Meaning really changing and changing in a way that's equivalent. So really equiv. I just reversed my letters. Let's go back. Let's do that again. Equivalent, meaning same value but looks different. So again, one of the units of measurement we talked about was length or distance, right? And like one thing we know is like 1 yard is the exact same thing as 3 feet. And we would be converting back and forth. We did capacity, which is volume. And we learned things like, 1 gallon is the same thing as 4 quarts. And then we talk about like, how do we convert this? Like if someone gives us some information like, oh, if I have 13 cups, how many pints is that? That type of work. And that's what we've been doing. And we've been doing that with a process that allows us to start with finding the one to many. Oh, find 2. Oh boy, find 1 too many, right? And then establishing our rule. So knowing what the rule is. And with units of conversion, because it's equivalent, we're only multiplying or dividing. Those are our only options because again, that's the same thing we do to find equivalent fractions. We can only multiply and divide. And then we would just solve. And these were the steps we were doing. Now today, this is no different. It's actually absolutely no different than anything we've done in the past few days, which is great because it allows us to practice this skill and then realize whatever the unit is, I just changed the unit and put it in to learn. And today's unit of measurement, dun, 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 unit of measurements is weight. So there's only a few to really think about. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna write this actually now on this page, why not? But this would be a great opportunity to write this in your journal so you knew and you could pull this back out and look at it when you're doing the math. So here's what we're talking about with weight. 1, we're going to talk about pounds, right? So pounds is a way that we measure how much something weighs, how heavy it is. We abbreviate pounds with LBS. Again, thank you, English. That makes 0 sense. There's not even an L in the word pounds, but whatever. Okay. And one thing we know then is our one to many is that 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. And we talked about ounces with volume as well. And there are liquid ounces and then there are solid ounces and there's weird rules around that. But one thing we need to remember is that a pound is 16 ounces. So when you are at McDonald's and you order a quarter pounder, they're literally saying, let that bell ring. God, that bell seems so long when we're doing this. When you order a quarter pounder, you're actually getting like, what, 4 ounces of food. If you ordered a 1 pound steak, you would get 16 ounces of food. And again, ounces is another fun one. When we abbreviate it, we say OZ because obviously ounces doesn't have a Z in it. So that's why we would use that, whatever. The other, and again, take your time to write this in your journal. The other unit of measurement, there's only 2 that we're going to look at with weight, is tons. We actually use this term all the time. Oh, that was tons of fun, right? It's like a slang thing. But a ton, right, which we show with a capital T because it's so big. Ton is a lot because a ton is equal to 2,000 pounds. And that's why we say we like things a ton, because it just means we like it a lot. But the reality is a ton is a large amount of weight. Elephants are tons. We measure them in tons because they're so big and heavy. Cars, we tend to measure in tons because they are very heavy, right? You wouldn't really measure a car in ounces. That would be a really big number. So we use tons. Okay, so these are the 2 we're just going to focus on today following those steps, finding our one to many understanding the rule, and then solving. And we're going to just do so around this understanding that a pound is 16 ounces and that a ton is 2,000 pounds. So let's practice out a couple of these and get the job done. What was that hype? Yeah, work. Sorry. So let's go ahead and just start. This time we'll just go here. So we have 6,000 pounds and we need to know, well, how many tons is that? Right. So again, the first thing you always want to do is the one to many. I know this still feels confusing, and this is what I mean by the one to many. You're going to build a T-chart. You're going to put your 2 units of measurement in there. So pounds and tons. And then one of these pounds or tons has to have the number 1 in it. And that's where you go back and find, well, what is the one to many? Is it 1 pound equals many tons, or is it 1 ton equals many pounds? And if we go back to this, what we see is that, oh, I should have put 1 here. 1 ton is the same thing as 2,000 pounds. So the one to many is the tons. So 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. So that's my one to many. Notice I still wasn't even looking at the work I was doing up here, because this is going to help me by establishing this one to many rule. I can then find the rule, which is step number 2, right? We're going to find the rule. So I'm going to take what I know up here. And what I know up here is I have 6,000 pounds and I don't know how many tons. So I don't know how many tons, but I have 6,000 pounds. So if I'm going to do the rule, I have to look at, well, what am I doing? I'm starting here and I'm going here, right? I'm starting in pounds, I'm going to tons. Because again, I have pounds, I need to find tons. So if I start at 2,000 and I get to 1, I'm actually getting smaller. So now I can say, all right, for this case, I'm going to use P for pounds for my equation. I'm going to say P divided by 2,000 is going to equal T. Because that is the rule. Look at what happens right here. 2,000 divided by 2,000 is 1. So anytime I have pounds and I need to find tons, I'm going to divide by 2,000. So now we substitute, and maybe we should really put that into that rule, right? The final thing to solve, not just solve, but like substitute and then solve. Maybe that's really going to help us, because now this is what I need to solve. Well, I now know P. It's 6,000. So I'm going to substitute 6,000 divided by 2,000 is going to equal T. Well, the cool thing is I know that this 0 and this 0 cancel each other out. This 0 and this 0 cancel each other out. This 0 and this 0 cancel each other out. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So actually, I have 3 tons if I have 6,000 pounds. Now, I know that's a lot of work, and I always make it seem a lot quicker and easier with this, like boom, 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 boom. But if we continue to practice and we follow these steps, eventually your brain just starts to get it. And then you're doing it naturally. So again, the number 1 step, the one to many, is the biggest important part. And that's what I've been seeing where the most mistakes are being made in class, is like, we're forgetting to do that ratio first. Then look at the information you have, and then you can use that to solve. So let's take on another one. Again, so one to many, and find your rule, and then substitute and solve. Okay. All right. So let's say this time we have 8 tons, and someone says, well, I want to know how many pounds that is. How many pounds would I have if I have 8 tons? Great. Well, let's start with the one to many, which means I'm going to create a T-chart. I'm going to put tons here. I'm going to put pounds here. Okay. And then I need to, again, know what is the one thing. And we just learned that one. So I hope we remember that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Okay. So that's the one to many. Notice again that I didn't even use any information from up here yet. That's what we have to remember. The one to many you're actually doing before you even think about the problem. It's just the natural real world. And this is real world. It's true. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. That's the same everywhere. It's not just some made, we didn't make that up for math. Okay, now to find my rule, I'm going to take what I know, and what I know is 8 tons. So in my tons column, I'm putting an 8. Now to help me find this rule then, I know I'm taking my tons, that's where I'm starting, and I need to go over to pounds. So eventually it's going to equal P. And if I look at the one-to-many rule, I notice I'm getting bigger. So I'm definitely multiplying. Oh, this is not going to be, some of you may see this. This is not going to be big enough. So hold on. I'm going to erase this and shift it over. So we said rule. And we said we started with tons, we multiplied, and eventually it's going to equal pounds. Well, you can see here, according to this rule, right? 1 to 2,000, I get bigger. That's multiplication. Sorry, I make it the star instead of the X. And then I'm multiplying by 2,000. And that's the cool thing about the one-to-many is here's your rule. It already says it. I don't have to do much thinking because it's the identity property of multiplication. 1 times 2,000 equals 2,000. So I'm multiplying by that in number I get. So now that we know the rule, if I take my tons and I multiply by 2,000, I will always know how many pounds I have. So let's substitute and solve. What I know this time is tons. I know my T because that's 8. I'm going to multiply that by 2,000 because my rule does not change. And that's going to get me my final answer. Well, 2 times 8 is 16, but it's not just 2 times 8, it's 2 times 2,000. So I'm actually 1, 2, 3 place values bigger. And there's my answer. I have 16,000 pounds if it's 8 tons. Right. So if I had, I don't even know what it's like, maybe 2 elephants. I don't even know. Actually, I think an elephant's maybe 2 tons on average. I'm not an expert, but again, that's a lot of weight. 16,000 pounds. That's a ton of weight. Right. So it just gives the magnitude of things. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll kind of, I'm going to talk about, actually, you know what? Let's do this. Here's another thing that's showing up that I'm noticing we kind of struggle with. And it's the same idea. It's definitely the same idea, right? And it's these types of problems. These have been happening too, where they're like, okay, well, I have 33 ounces and I have 2 pounds. And we need to know using greater than, less than, or equal to, like, what's the relationship here? So I've noticed a lot of students are just guessing. You're just kind of guessing. Well, don't guess. No. And one way to know is, again, we're still going to convert. My decision in these problems is either I make both of these pounds or I make both of them ounces. So to do that, I might also want to think about what is my one-to-many. So I'm going to go back to that and kind of go here. And I have ounces and I have pounds. And what I know this, right? And you'll learn it, but it's written in your journal. You can always go back, is that a pound is 16 ounces. So I have to think about what's going to be easier for me to do, right? Do I want to change this to pounds, which means I would have to divide it by 16? Or do I want to multiply this by 16 to get to ounces? And I think that that's a little bit easier for me to do. 2 times 16 makes more sense. So I'm going to keep 33 ounces. And now I'm going to convert 2 pounds into ounces. So 2 times 16, that's 32 ounces. And now I can compare them. This is 33 ounces. This is 32 ounces. 33 ounces is definitely larger than 32, but barely. And that's how we can do this kind of work, is actually convert them to the same. Now, again, I could have done this the other way. I could have taken 16 and divided it by 6 to get pounds, and then I could have compared, right? And let's actually do that really quick. So if I converted the other way, 33 divided by 16, 16 times 2 is 32. So this would be 2 and 1/16 pounds. And this is just 2 pounds. And again, you can see 2 and 1/16, it's just barely larger than 2 pounds. So again, it doesn't matter which one you convert it to, just use the math that makes the most sense to you. So that's how we do that type of work. Okay, I'm going to stop us there. because this is day 3 of the same skill. The only thing that changes is you're putting in different units of measurement. But if we follow these steps, I promise you it's going to make more sense. Especially step 1, right? Know them, know the one-to-many. Those are all common units of measurement that we would like to know as we go through life. We should be very helpful to know that 1 foot is 12 inches, or that 8 ounces is a cup, or that 4 quarts makes a gallon, or that 1 mile is 5,280 feet, or that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Like these are all one units of measurement we should definitely understand. Okay, I'm going to leave you at that. We're going to let you get to work. Remember, keep asking questions. Remember, math is exploration. Remember, math is trial and error. And we'll see you next time.